Playing fighting games online stinks, but sometimes it doesn't. So, netcode is a fancy way of saying the process where player 1's game tells player 2's game what player 1 is doing and vice versa. If I'm fighting a guy and I press the punch button, the other guy's game needs to know that I pressed the punch button, and my game needs to know whatever the other guy is doing at any given moment. There's two ways to do this. One of them is terrible, like awful, and one of them is really good if it's done right. Delay netcode is the cheapest and easiest way to program online play in fighting games, and it's also the worst. All that happens is the game slaps a delay between when you press a button on your controller and when your character does a punch on the screen, and it feels awful. It definitely is less bad in some games compared to others, but it's never much better than bearable, and no matter how low the delay is, it is always going to be noticeable to an experienced player. At least with games with decently big player bases like Tekken and Dragon Ball FighterZ, you're more likely to find matches with people who live close to you, which makes it more bearable. But even in these scenarios, the amount of frames the game delays your inputs can dynamically change, so you can start out with a 2-frame input delay, which isn't terrible, but then it can just suddenly jump up and then back down completely unpredictably during a match. And then there's Smash Ultimate. This game's online is garbage. I like Smash Ultimate, I really do. It's definitely the fighting game that I enjoy the most and put the most time into for sure. But not only does this game use delay netcode, it uses the most unplayable form of delay netcode that has ever existed in a video game. Let me break it down for you. The base game of Smash Ultimate, meaning normal offline play, has 6 frames of input delay hard-coded into it that you cannot get rid of. It's just part of the game. Now, keep in mind that Smash Ultimate, like most other fighting games, runs at 60 frames per second. That means that if you're just playing a normal offline match, there is a 1/10 of a second delay between when you press a button and when your character responds to your button press. This isn't great, but since you're playing offline, it doesn't jump up or down like it would if you were playing online, so it's at least stable. When you jump online, there are another 5 frames of input delay slapped on top of those 6 pre-existing delay frames. That is 11 frames of delay, which is almost a 1/5 of a second of delay between your button presses and your character's response. And that's under perfect internet conditions. Realistically, you're looking at more. And this gets more depressing when you think about the fact that one guy was able to put amazing netcode into Smash Bros. Melee that you can play on your computer for free, which is a game that came out in 2001 on a game console that did not have any kind of online play at all. Okay, now we get to talk about the good stuff. Rollback netcode is the other main way to program fighting games online, and the difference between rollback and delay netcode is that rollback netcode can be good. This is really complicated, and I'm not going to pretend to be an expert on how it works, but this is a very, very basic explanation. Essentially, with rollback, both players' games are constantly predicting what the other player is going to do. If one guy is walking forward, the game is like, okay, he's probably just going to keep doing that, and just displays it as such. Your inputs don't have any added delay on them because of this prediction, because if the game is correct, it just goes through with things with no lag. However, if the game is wrong in its prediction, it just rolls the match back to the last frame where it was correct and starts guessing again. This might not sound good, but with a good internet connection, the game is doing this so quickly that you will not notice it happening, and it will just feel like you're playing the game offline. If there is any lag, it'll be more in the form of the characters teleporting around a little bit as opposed to additional delay, which is by far the more preferable outcome. The main reason this isn't in more games is because it's really hard to implement, because there's a lot more stuff you have to implement as opposed to just slapping a delay on everything, but it's absolutely worth it. I mean, Guilty Gear Strive has already sold more copies in its first 3 days of being released than other Guilty Gear games sold in their entire lifetime, and let's be honest, a lot of the reason behind that was the netcode. In a world where it's still not safe to have big in-person tournaments and practice sessions in a lot of places because of the pandemic, a game with good online is absolutely paramount, and Guilty Gear Strive's rollback netcode is phenomenal. And this is a really big thing. It's not a huge deal that Smash Ultimate has bad netcode because it's pretty easy to find tournaments that are at least reasonably close to where you live because it's just that popular of a game and it's able to survive due to its big offline scene. Other fighting games do not have anywhere near this amount of reach. Like, if you live in Indiana, good luck finding a tournament for like Tekken or Dragon Ball or something.
Can't you see I'm blazing? Still my heart is blazing. If the words kill me, I don't need a new